Dear friends of the New Art and Culture, this is Ingo from About Africa and the Rest of the World, and today, yes, I'm doing a book review, and it's about this book about Korwar from Raymond Corbey, and the right title is Northwest New Guinea Ritual Art According to Missionary Sources. And you know, first of all, I think this is a fantastic book, one of the best I ever read for this thing which was formerly known as tribal art. And I don't only say this because I get it as a free copy for free, not at all. I say it because it is a fantastic book. What is it about? You know, the Korwars, they are small sculptures in the Yapen Bay region in northwestern New Guinea. And they're portraits, let's say portraits of family members who died. And they were used for intermediaries between the living world and the spirit world. And you know, the point of the book is, it's called According to Missionary Sources. And this you have to be, and this is really about things like missionary sources. You know, the point is that in, I think, 1889, the missionaries came to this country, to this Yapen Bay region, and they really tried to convert the people there. And they had a really interesting view of the people. It's here, as in the board of the Utrecht Missionary Society. The initiative was taken by missionaries to come to live among the barbarian people, a people without love, engaged in heritable battle and feud between tribes, villages and families. And a people that has no religion, once again, a people that has no religion, fears and flatters their dead and sees them as evil spirits. This was for the things in northwestern New Guinea. And yeah, it is some kind of racism. We don't have to talk about this. But it means, what is interesting for all the things is that the objects you see here are not looted. There was no robbery. It was just psychological force. You know, it was like, give it to me, or you will never be part of our great society. You know, in the first 20 or 30 years, it was not so. They were not so successful, the missionaries. But after this, they were. And what did they do with the objects? Yeah, they destroyed them, fired them, or sometimes they keep them. And I think at the moment, and Corbey is writing this, Corbey is from the University of Leiden, he's writing that there are just only 600 of these Korwars still here. But of course, they are not only Korwars, but they had other objects as well, large effigies, as well as you can here see some on the right side here. I think there are no field photos showing the Korwars being in the house, which they were in the house in these days, but on the other hand, yeah. But this is the first part of the book, and this is very interesting for everybody, not only for oceanic art interest, people, or the people who are interested in oceanic art, but in all art as well, where the missionaries have been, because this was not an exception there, how they did this with their objects. And the main point, of course, for me as a collector is that Corbey, he is differentiating 5 areas with different styles where you find these Korwars. This is Doreh Bay, Wandammen Bay, the Schouten Islands, Yapen Islands, and the larger Ampat archipelago. You see them here, 4 of them you can see here. And the point is that each area has special features. The figures of each area has special features. And this is maybe the very interesting thing. You know, when I had the book and when I read it, I at once went to the ArtK database, looked at the Korwars there are dozens and dozens of them, and then I tried to find out from which area they come without reading the text. You know, it's just fun. It's still got to go deeper in this. And let's start with the first. This is the Doreh Bay. In Doreh Bay, often there are just standing figures like here, often standing. Others are mostly sitting. And the face and the head is more or less realistic. It's not realistic like we would say realistic, but it's more or less, it's more realistic than the other ones. And in the hands, he has sometimes a figure, often has a shield, or sometimes snakes, and sometimes the shield they are snakes, because snakes are very, very important for them. So this is a very typical thing. And you know, as you see here, it's written small. This is from the Casanovas. There are some objects in books where you say, wow, they look fantastic. And they are often from the Casanovas. You know, Casanovas belong to the most expensive and, of course, best dealers in the whole tribal art world. Other objects often were from Bleking. Bleking was a teacher who had a big collection of Korwars, and there was one very nice, friendly dealer who could buy a lot of these things and later sell them. So this was the Doreh Bay. The second is the Schouten Island. The Schouten Island is not so easy to distinguish from the other, especially from the Yapen Island. But what you see here is, of course, very often you see this nose. You see this arrow-like nose. This is very typical for them. And he's mostly sitting. And I don't know, if you look from here, the eyes are little like eggs, you know, this egg-shaped form. This is Schouten Island. This is the Wandammen Bay area. They are, I think, the easiest to distinguish. You have two kinds of them. First, skull Korwars, and you see it here. There's really a skull in it. Personally, I never saw such an object in real life. That means in a museum or something like this. But it seems that they do exist. What I see more often is this type, you know, with this Wandammen everything with a long head, but it's not a long head, of course, it's a hairdo at the end. It's always sitting. I think there was one of these objects at Semanek some month ago. I think he sold it for about 15,000. And in the next Dorotheum auction, there will be a fantastic, absolute fantastic, high quality piece of a Wandammen area. I think the estimation is 65,000 euro, which is of course a lot of money, and I don't ever have to think about it, but which is not so high if you see the quality of the things. So this is the Wandammen area. No, the long hairs. Then you have the number 4, the Yapen Islands. Once again, you have often a nose, like an arrow, but nose goes often to the upper lips. You see it here, right? And sometimes the hands or the feet, the legs, they end in legs, even maybe you could say floral shapes or things like that. You don't see it so, but you can see it here. Maybe you can see it here on the right one a little. So it's not so easy to distinguish them, to differentiate this from the Doreh Bay object, but it's a, Yep, I love it a lot. And the last thing is this Raja Ampat. And I think there are not so many there, because the missionaries were very successful in getting these objects and burning them. But you see, one thing you find very often is that the head is larger than the body. So this is one thing this one differentiate from the other 4 styles. So this is, I think, a third of the part of the book, and for me the most interesting, because it's really, and have to say, the photos, they are great photos, fantastic photos. The book is very well done. I think you can see it here. It's wow. But of course, they're not just only Korwars. In the book, there are a lot of other objects which have to do with the Korwars rites, which were used there. And for example, on the left here, you see an amulet, which is a small. You find small Korwars or Korwar amulets, sometimes for some €100 or maybe for 1,000 or 2,000 euro, or things like that. I just saw some which Jan Kustas found some, and he posted them on Facebook. So there's a lot of other objects, and they're in the book as well. And there are some large, sometimes large, but not always large, effigies, which are different from the Korwars, which are interesting as well, and have to do something with this card. And you can find them too in the book. For example, here, this is a snake spirit. Once again, snakes are very important for them. It's just 40 centimeters, not a very big one. The Korwars, are just only 30 centimeter, 40 centimeter, 20, 30 centimeter as well. They're small. But this is, I love them such a lot thing, this water snake. So, at the end, once again, I'm really enthusiastic about this book. It costs, I think, €95, but it's really worth that. It has almost 400 pages. It has more than 300 photos. So I would say to everybody, once again, here it is, the Korwar book by Raymond Corbey. This is a must have.